first started in my career, I was a platform trainer and speaker, teaching management skills to adults, adult education, uh, things like delegation and time management, what have you. And then I became the CEO of an organizational development and design consultancy where I had a whole bunch of really smart people, much smarter than me, and that's not really hard to get, in the space of the science of organizational design and organizational development. And, most people that you talk to that are experts in the field of OD, it's called OD for short, fall on one side of the fence or the other. Either they're expert at organizational development or expert at organizational design. Organizational development is the development of the people. So things like team building would fall under the auspices of organizational development initiatives inside of an organization, getting a team aligned and going in a certain direction. Organizational design, on the other hand, is about designing the systems. And way back when, and you guys, I'm sure, have heard of Dr. Deming. I'll tell you a quick story. So Dr. Deming, at the end of World War II, came to the US government and said, hey, you guys have to stop doing what you're doing with manufacturing. You have to change. And they said, well, who are you? And he said, well, I'm a statistician. And I'm just telling you right now that there's two things coming off the assembly line. And for every two things that come off, we're throwing one away because our quality was out to lunch. And so the U.S. government didn't listen to him, and so he went over to Japan and became a consultant to the Japanese government. And the whole electronic revolution that we saw in Japan was as a result of Dr. Deming and the work that he did in total quality. So total quality comes from Deming, and you'll hear a lot of Demingisms, and a lot of what he would say is this: let's work and make sure that we have the right systems in place, because people are basically good and they want to follow a system, but you have to look at your systems first to see if they're functional. And systems are always changing. So systems are always breaking down, just like us, right? If we don't brush our hair, if we don't brush our teeth, eventually our teeth fall out, our hair falls off. Well, maybe the hair falls off anyway. But the point is that things are constantly going from a state of order to disorder, and we have to figure that out, right? We have to bring that stuff together. So you now have more information about organizational development and design that you probably ever wanted to know, but it's ODD, right? It's organizational design and development. That's my background. And many years ago, I decided to stop doing OD for a living, specifically 33 years ago. And I decided that really organizational development and design has to be done by you, not by me, the external change agent coming into your company and helping you do change management, because ultimately that is your responsibility. Wherever you are in the organization, you are responsible for the effective change of the world or the sphere of influence that you're in. Does that make sense? That you have to be able to do that. It's not something that you can relegate to external consultants. You can bring us in for help, but really it's the ultimate responsibility of you, the leader inside the organization. So I got into executive coaching, working one-on-one, helping people like you to become good at organizational development and design yourselves. And I also discovered more about adult learning and how people learn. So I'll tell you a little proverb. I hear and I forget. I see and I remember, but I do, and then I understand. So the least effective form of learning is you just hearing me talk. The most effective form of learning is you actually doing. So today is about doing. It's not about hearing, even seeing. So I was asked to present you some concepts in leading through change. And that's what I'm going to do right now. I'm going to share my screen. And you should be able to see this. Yes. It says
Yeah.
leading through change. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. I'm going to stay in this mode, not in presentation mode. I may go back and forth, but the reason why is because we're actually going to do some typing today. I'm going to type on this as we talk. And you are going to be the source of all information that I'm going to collect. So this is Socratic method, and this is how I teach. And so I'll have questions for you, and this is participation. So you can unmute your mics and we can all talk. And let's just see how many people do we have online here?
We've got 30 or so.
30 people. So this should be a lively discussion. So just get ready. This is about you participating because I want you to learn. Okay. So just a show of hands, how many people actually want to learn how to lead through change? Just a show of hands. Yes, this is interesting to me. I really want to be able to lead through change. Show of hands, how many people think they're a leader? How many people think they're a leader? You know, some people are not going to raise their hand because it's like, well, no, I'm just a manager or I'm an individual contributor. But the truth is that every single one of you is a leader. How do I know that? Well, let's just break down what leadership is and what management is real quick. This is off topic, but we'll get back on topic in a second. So leadership and management, worlds apart, in my strong belief. Management is where you have control. You control your employees. They report to you. You may think that you don't control them, but ultimately you can fire them. You can put them in timeout. You can give them homework and say, do this by Monday. You can write up a review. You can give them a raise. You have control. But leadership implies a different word. So I have this synonym for you for leadership. The very best single most useful word to understand what leadership is. What word do you think I'm going to use? Anyone? What word do you think I'm going to use? The single word.
Influence.
Yes, Stacy, good. Influence, absolutely. It's the art of influence. So if you're a janitor in your company, can you influence others? You have a sphere of influence. Fair? I love that word, sphere. You have a sphere. I just wrote a book. It's not out yet. It's called Your Customer Compass. And what I love about Your Customer Compass is everyone gets it. As soon as I say it, boom, you're going to have it. You have customers, north, south, east, west. So if you look north, who's your customers north? Your boss's boss, your boss's boss's boss. Maybe you have 50 layers up. Maybe you just have one. Maybe you have none. Maybe you think you don't have a boss. But I'm an entrepreneur. I don't have a boss. Well, you have your family. You're working for your family. So if you're an entrepreneur and you just have a sole proprietorship, you still have your family that's who you're serving. If you look out to the east, you have some obvious customers, but to the west, you have stakeholders, you have peers that you're there to serve as well. And you've looked south, and if you have direct reports, you're there to serve them. So 360 degrees, you're there to serve and you can influence. So as that janitor, you can be very influential. You can be the very best janitor on the planet, and you can influence the other janitors, and you can get those janitors fired up to lead through change in their sphere of influence. Is that fair? Now, they can't change the organization, but they can change how janitorial services are done, and your trash is taken out in a better way, right? Is that fair? Okay, so with that, let's I'll start the slideshow, and then I'll come back to edit mode. All right, so leading through change. Objectives for today. And Doug, how much time do I have? Because I want to stay on time.
45 minutes. We want to save the limit for the end.
Say what?
45 minutes, but we want to save maybe 5 minutes to the end.
Okay, got it. So we got 40 minutes here to do some really, really great work. But Like I said, we're working today. This is not about Daniel talking or Daniel sounding smart. That's not going to be possible. It is you sounding smart as you think through this process I'm going to lay out for you. Okay, so objectives. One, we're going to understand the four stages of change and enable you to pinpoint where you are and your team are in the cycle. I don't care if you're the CEO of a company or you're the janitor. Today, I have something powerful for you. Two, explore how change can occur, the impact it can have, both positive and negative, and how to be an internal change agent. Now, let me just tell you that one of the most difficult things to possibly be is an internal change agent. It's much easier to be an ODD or odd guy on the outside, coming in, influencing the organization using external change agent tools to make things happen. Why? There's no baggage. I have no political axe to grind inside the company. I'm not associated with this group or that group. I'm just here to do a job. Now, I better have a charter. And the higher up I can get in the organization for that charter, the more effective I will be. But on the inside, doing internal change agent work, it is tough. So that's why we're going to talk about it. How do you in your chair, you be an effective internal change agent? Not easy. I could just say one word: cautious. Be cautious about it. Also, we'll talk about preparing for change, both mentally and tangibly with practical actions. We'll gain useful ideas to implement. We'll also understand the 8 principles of change. This was the impetus. The question was, Daniel, would you give us a talk? And I said, yes. And they said, well, do you know anything about Kotter? And I said, yes. And well, I really like his model. I said, me too. So yes, you're going to learn John Kotter's model and become empowered change agents. Well, I wouldn't say you're going to become empowered change agents. You're going to become excited, I hope, about being empowered change agents. But to get empowered fully is more than just listening to me or a lecture or do a workshop. You're going to have to do a bunch of work, as you're going to see. Develop an action plan to effectively initiate and cause positive change. So we will do that. Questions? Any questions at this point? Any questions? No? Okay, good. So team development. Let me just point out where you are in your cycle. You are somewhere on this graph, somewhere in these 4 stages of team development. And it's very classic. It's not the world according to Daniel. It's the world according to very smart OD consultants. Forming, storming, norming, performing. You are somewhere on this curve. You're forming. You're forming to the next level on your team or in your organization, your department. You're in a storming process. There's change going on, right? Maybe you were forming and you were really effective and you were just jamming. And then all of a sudden it's like we added, 5 new headcount, or we took away 5 headcount, or we merged 2 departments, or any variation of theme of change. And now we're in the storming mode, and we're just butting heads a little bit. There's some role clarity issues, role conflict issues. We don't know who's supposed to do what. We don't think we're participating and influencing enough. Maybe there's low morale. Who knows what? But that's a storming stage. It's normal. It's natural. It happens all the time. It's a cycle. And so hopefully it's upwards and to the right, right? It's upwards and to the right. We can only hope. Norming, you start getting into a normative phase where just things are tooling along and things are going well. And then you achieve peak performance. Now, here's for the senior leaders, the CEOs and senior leaders on this call. That is when you need to start doing OD on your organizations, when you're absolutely hitting on all cylinders, because the next phase is, guess what? Where's the next phase? You bet you're going down. You were going down and you're going down into the storming phase again. So it's just this constant cycle. right? Whoever draws these straight lines upwards and to the right, well, they're smoking the funny stuff. Not going to happen. 8 steps to lead through change in your organization. This is Kotter's stuff. Okay, 8 steps to accelerate change. We're going to go through these all together, so I'm not going to name them right now. We're going to take them one at a time. Number 1, numero uno. It all starts with creating a sense of urgency. So your leaders must describe an opportunity that will appeal to individuals' heads and hearts and use this statement to raise a large, urgent group of volunteers. Right now, I'm doing an offsite for an organization. We're taking a department inside the organization, the service delivery department, and we're going to do an offsite. And we're struggling right now struggling in a good way through the rallying cry. What is the rallying cry for this year? Last year, I'll tell you what the rallying cry was: protect the plan. And what we did is we actually took a basketball, and we were physically all in one place. And so we passed the basketball around this group of leaders, mid-managers, and they all signed the basketball. Yes, I'm on this team. And it was protect the plan was written on the ball. And they protected their plan this year, in 2020, and they overachieved actually the plan. So they did really, really well with their goals and objectives for the year. Now this year, I'm doing another offsite for them, and it's a new slogan we're looking for. Why? To reach the individuals' heads and hearts, some type of slogan. Everyone got behind that slogan last year. Protect the plan. Yes, we're going to do it. And there was this excitement about it. And everyone got their bonuses as a result. In fact, they overachieved their bonuses. So some type of rallying cry, some type of cause. We're going to reorganize to, improve our delivery mechanism or improve our quality of our manufacturing. But somehow you got to get people excited, right? Over many decades, Dr. Kotter and others, did research that showed that most transformation fails. A consistent factor behind those that failed is that there was not a sense of urgency. That's the key, is urgency. Building urgency is all about concentrating on a window of opportunity, and it may close tomorrow. So you have an opening, and usually it's about pain. Okay, there's some type of pain. We just got acquired. Boom, urgency. Now it's going to happen. This is a perfect time for this reorg, right? Or we just went through a RIF, a lot of pain. We just lost 20 employees or 50 or 2,000 or whatever, but we're going through pain. So pain often creates a sense of urgency, or a sense of urgency because we want to be the first to market with the product. And, there's the rallying cry is, get to the moon before anyone else. That was a rallying cry, yes? The results, you have a breadth of focused readiness across the workforce that is unprecedented in your organization. Now, many of you, I realize on this call, are not in that senior leadership position where you can really rally the whole organization. But you can do this on the micro level of yourself and your family. What if you want to create a sense of urgency and you're wanting to move and all the kids don't want to move, but you come up with a slogan, a rallying cry, an idea of, we're going to get a pool, and the rallying cry is the pool for the kids, right? And so we don't have a pool now, but we're going to have a pool in our new house. And the kids reluctantly say, okay, we're moving to a new city, but we're going to have a pool, right? So some type of rallying cry. And you may not be able to use that rallying cry a few months from now, because now it's summertime, but winter's coming and they're not going to be excited about a pool in December. So question, and this is participation time. I'm going to stop doing the presentation mode and start typing. So how can you create a sense of urgency for the changes you want to see? I don't care if it's on the micro level of your family or the next level up of your department or your team or an organization, but how can you create a sense of urgency for the changes you want to see? We're going to brainstorm really fast. There's not going to be any wrong answers. Everything you say, I'm going to type. Just don't give me a book, because I don't type that fast. Okay, go. Come on. How can you create a sense of urgency?
Find the top 3 pain points.
Find the top 3 pain points. Good. What else?
For Dell Medical School, it's really serving our population in a way that's the lives of people in Central Austin, specifically right now, as far as is doing response to COVID.
Yeah, survey the population and determine needs, right? Which is similar to the first one. It's find pain points, right? Yep. What else?
What about, this is Mary, hello. What about creating a persona, a personal connection, either by a story in particular or a mission statement or a goal?
Absolutely. A story, a mission. I don't know how to spell, M-I-S-S-I-O-N. Mission statement, goal, cast vision, right? Absolutely. Good input, Mary. Good. Someone else. Come on. Don't be shy. How can you create a sense of urgency for the changes you want to see?
Explain the benefits of the targeted reason for the project or initiative.
Yeah, explain the benefits. Yeah, if I'm going to have to change, I've got an organization right now. Let me think which one. Major pain. Oh yeah. So they have this organization in the Baltics, in Europe, and they're very, very much happy doing things the way they've been doing things for years and years. And my client is the chief revenue officer. He's the change agent. These sales guys are used to, quote unquote, today, he said, Tom, hitting 40% of their quota. I said, well, have you given or thought about the book, Who Moved My Cheese? And, maybe it's a tired book. I don't know. How many people have heard of the book, Who Moved My Cheese? Yes, Doug, Mary shaking her head. So that might be, something to that's part of a rallying cry almost too, right? Is like, hey, the cheese is moved. So give them reading material around change. Maybe Who Moved My Cheese. Good. What else?
Hey, Daniel, this is Venkat, and nice to hear your voice. I would say quantify the loss or gain and make it tangible in terms of,
Yeah, so that's great. So quantify loss or gain. Sure. What is the theme of all these? What's the theme? What do you see as the pattern?
There's some feeling or emotion tied into each of these, something more visceral.
Yeah. You got to tie in feelings, emotions. It just can't be a head thing. It can't be a head. That's why you saw it's head and heart, right? It's not just head. It's got to be the head and the heart. A little rabbit trail for a second. So as an OD consultant, I realized that executive coaching really is OD on an individual level, because I'm dealing with two things. I'm dealing with your head and I'm dealing with your heart. Your head, cognitively, changing your thinking, your heart, changing how you feel, your motivations, right? Now, what comes first? What do you think comes first? Do I change your head to help you get into your heart, or do I change your heart to get into your head? It's a trick question. Be careful. What do you think the answer is?
I think heart to head.
Heart to head? Someone else? I'm just going to be a wise guy. So whatever you say, it's going to be wrong probably. Try it. Heart to
You
head.
can't change one without the other.
Yes, that is true. And the one that comes first is the one that works best for the client and the best for the situation. So sometimes it's head to heart, sometimes it's heart to head, and it's situational. The same human being, one situation may be heart to head, the other may be head to heart, but I'll tell you what, both end up where? Head, heart, hands, right? Action. Nothing happens without action. And why you have to create a sense of urgency, because otherwise it dies, right? The idea dies. The change initiative dies. How many people have been, no show of hands, but just how many times have you been in a change initiative that has died? We're going to do X, Y, and Z, and it doesn't happen, right? Why? Because there wasn't the sense of urgency. There probably wasn't the top-down charter. There wasn't the head, heart, hands happening, right? Okay, one more. How do you create a sense of urgency for the changes you want to see? How do you do it?
Give them a vision. It's simple, easy to follow.
A simple, easy to follow vision. Absolutely. Good work. Okay. Any other thoughts before we move on? Yeah, good. Okay, so we can get Doug this deck out to everyone afterward, okay? I'll send it to
Also
you.
recording too.
Yep. All right, so build a guiding coalition. Step numero dos. Step numero dos. How do you do that? Well, the guiding coalition is in many ways the nerve center of the 8-step process. It can take many shapes, but must consist of members from all layers of the hierarchy, represent all functions, receive information about the organization at all levels and ranks, and synthesize that information into new ways of working. That is the world according to Kotter. Now, do you want to hear the world according to Daniel? That is a great, smart guy talking. The truth is that, sometimes the world is much less than perfect. So you build the best coalition you can, and you are not going to get all members from all layers representing all functions. It just doesn't happen. But that's Kotter's step 2. Without a guiding coalition, the organization will continue to rely on traditional hierarchical ways of operating. That's true, which will not serve it over the long term. That is true. In fact, that same book I just referenced, Your Customer Compass, I did a lot of research and really had some great input from Jim Collins. How many people know Jim Collins? Jim Collins wrote some great books. One of the books he wrote was Good to Great. And I would strongly suggest reading that book. And in that book, Good to Great, he analyzed 1,100 and some odd good companies, really good companies with an extensive research team, really dug under the covers of how do companies go from good to great. He was only able to find 11 that truly went from good to great. He documented those. And he talks about building guiding coalitions and all that in that book. So if you want more information, I recommend the book. The results of this, the linchpin of your entire transformation is in place, an accountable, diverse group bound by opportunity, strategy, and action. But it's a coalition. Now, you may not be in a position of power to build a organization-wide coalition, but you might be certainly building a coalition inside of your department, even your family. So how do you build a guiding coalition for change in your sphere of influence? We're brainstorming again. I'm typing.
I'd say recruiting volunteers. There's a very famous quote by James Doolittle, the famous World War II pilot, and he said, "Never or nothing is stronger than the heart of a volunteer." So getting people that are truly passionate from the get-go, rather than having to get them excited about it, but recruiting volunteers to help.
A volunteer or the volunteer? You know?
What was that?
You know, it's a volunteer or the volunteer?
Of a volunteer.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, good. James Doolittle? Is that how you spell his name?
Yep. I think
Okay,
he's probably
good.
General. Yeah, General James Doolittle.
Good. All right.
I think all
How about-
organizations have certain leadership or people that may not be in a high level position, but they are swaying and managing the culture, and those people probably could be won over.
Can we say this? I'm paraphrasing.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, good. What else? I know Mary's got one for us. Go, Mary. Come on. Yes, you do. You thought you'd show up and just eat your lunch, huh? Not so much. Stacy, come on. How can you
I
build?
have 14 brothers and sisters. I kind of
Uh-huh.
grew up figuring out how to build coalitions.
Well, tell us how to do
So
it.
you can't get the whole crowd the whole time. You really got to pick, you got to, find your allies, and you have to align yourself with your enemies as well.
Nice. Find your allies. Also, identify detractors. We'll call them detractors. And
hear them out. Make sure that you hear them out.
hear them out. Sure. Absolutely. Absolutely. Good. Someone else. Good work.
Hey, Daniel. So since you mentioned Jim Collins, I think one would be being an example as a leader, I guess.
Yeah.
Others can follow.
You know, the part that was so interesting, be a good example, right? You could be a bad example. That would be me. Be a good example. Yeah. So what he noticed, and he didn't go out and study leadership. He didn't plan on discovering level 5 leadership, but that's what he discovered. He said, all of the leaders of these 11 companies that went from good to great had the same 2 traits, and I can't resist telling you what they are. What do you think they are? 2 major traits. They were incredibly driven, incredibly focused. Yes, I'm going to do it, and I'm not going to stop until it gets done. And they are company focused. They are going to get the results. And what? What do you think? Extremely humble. Isn't that cool? Good to great. Level 5 leader, extremely focused.
Recall that they were not the big personality ones. They were not the big personality. They were
not the big personality. So ergo, you do not have to become a big personality to be an effective change initiator, effective change agent inside of your organization. And you don't have to be like me or like somebody else that you think is, oh man, that person is got the personality for it. No, you could be an introvert. You could be shy. You could be quiet and be highly effective. But you have to do these things. And you certainly can be a good example, right? Good. What else? Another way to build a guiding coalition.
Just as a time check, we're at 20 minutes till.
Yep, thanks. Be a good example.
So all this sort of telling me to go into this with open mind, not with a predetermined everything, and be ready to listen to all the stakeholders and get their wording in the proposal.
Yep, absolutely. Very good. All right, 3, form a strategic vision plus initiatives, right? So what is that about? Well, Dr. Kotter defines strat vision, as targeted and coordinated activities that, if designed and executed fast enough and well enough, will make your vision a reality. Got hit hard, move fast. And then he has some characteristics of a terrific strategic vision. It's able to be communicated, it's desirable, it creates a verbal picture, it's flexible, feasible, imaginable, simple. He leaves one thing out, and it's the emotions. You know, it digs down into people's emotions and has some type of visceral reaction. Okay, so what can you do in your sphere of influence to form a strategic vision? What can you do? How can you do it? What do you think?
Somehow motivate people to get excited about a new idea or a new vision for your organization, whether it be like big or small.
Motivate people to get excited about an idea. Yeah, big or small. I like the analogy I gave with, you know, the, hey, we're moving. How do you get your kids excited about moving? Well, you know, somehow you got to have an idea, big or small, that they can wrap their heads around the vision of where we're going, so that they don't go terribly kicking and screaming along the way, right? What else? What can you do to, in your sphere of influence?
Try to be as specific as possible to capture imagination. Like, for example, as Arizona State says, you know, 10 micro campuses in 10 years, that kind of, you can sink your teeth into it.
Yep, that goes back to the earlier discussion of slogan, right? Rallying cry.
Mhm.
You know, have a rallying cry, and reinforce that cry. Let me just tell you real quick what we're doing with the ball. So this year, we're going to use a soccer ball for this next offsite I'm doing. We're going to FedEx the soccer ball around to all 40 participants of the offsite, one at a time with a marker, and they're going to sign the ball. That's how we're going to get everyone on board. And you know what? That's going to take 40 weeks. One FedEx ball per week. 40 people get it. It's going to keep the whole vision alive for the whole year. All right. So form a strategic vision and initiatives, keep it alive. You know, here's another one. Write it down. You got to get it right in writing so you can share it, right? Write down your vision.
And communicate clearly.
Yes, absolutely. Communicate clearly. And that's, you know, if confused, see bullet above, right? If you don't write it down, you're not going to be able to communicate it clearly. So many people forget to write it down. And so they think, well, I've told everybody. I told them. Yeah, but did you put it in writing? Number 4, enlist a volunteer army. Enlist a volunteer army. Back to the point earlier. What was our great quote? Nothing is stronger than the heart of a volunteer. Yeah. But a volunteer that is on board with your vision. Yes. Make sense? Good. All right. So volunteer army, large scale change can and only occur when significant numbers of employees amass under a common opportunity and drive in the same direction, right? So you got to reach critical what? Mass. You got to go in that direction. You got to move, and you got to get momentum. So you have to have a history of that is demonstrated. Well, let me just read this to you. Accelerate explains that history has demonstrated that it is possible to find many change agents, but only if people are given a choice and feel they truly have permission to step forward and act. You must build excitement around the big opportunity and develop a feeling that one wants to versus one has to contribute. And again, it's influence, and you're accessing key influencers. So what can you do to create followers in your sphere of influence? Well, the millennial generation should be participating. You old farts don't know as much as they do about influence and how to be influential. So the gray hairs and the no hairs, I'm leaving you out right now. Give me my millennials. What can you do to create followers in your sphere of influence? What do you think?
Outreach.
Yeah. There's no substitute for outreach, is there? Outreach to who?
Yes.
Right? Get the influencers on board. Get the influencers on board. What else?
And even
Okay.
one by one, in a one-on-one way, like mass recruitment and mass messaging is good. But you'll one by one, you'll turn people, and then those people will help you turn people.
One at a time.
I was gonna say a little joke, create a TikTok video, but I guess in that joke, there's some truth in that, whatever spheres of influence channels you have in your organization, you'd want to, newsletters or whatever, try to reach out and share the vision and get people to join, right? So.
Yeah.
So it's
Just,
one other thing is asking them to, or explain to them, what's in it for them. They might learn a new skill.
Woo. Yeah, I wish I had time to tell you this story, but I'm going to say it like this. The most powerful radio station in the world is what? WIII-FM. Does anyone listen to FM radio? Yes, Stacy has it. Go ahead. What is it?
What's in it for me?
What is in it for me? WIII-FM. Yes, I'm just going to type that. WIII-FM. What is in it for me? Good. One more. You guys are doing great. One more. Creating followers in your sphere of influence. Lead by, right? True? Good. 5, enable action by removing barriers. Okay, so now we're getting into, in his 8 steps, some of these barriers you can remove. So by removing barriers such as inefficient processes, archaic norms, leaders provide the freedom necessary for employees to work across boundaries and create real impact. On an organizational level, many leaders agree that even their own management practices are too bureaucratic and are nuanced and a nuisance, yet remnants of the past can have tremendous staying power. So you got to break through the old paradigms. What can you do in your sphere of influence to remove barriers or to change paradigms? What can you do? Come on, rapid fire. We're in the home stretch here.
Don't talk negatively about what was done before.
Ooh, that's good.
Not too negatively. You got to phrase it the right way.
Yeah, if I could leave you a thought about your careers and how to have the best career, be in the solution, not the problem. 99% solution, 1% problem. Most employees will bring to their boss. 99% problem, 1% solution. Be a 99% solution person.
Give permission to
How do
make
you solve
mistakes.
this?
Make sure they're comfortable with making mistakes and trying.
Be comfortable. Yeah, create a safe environment to make mistakes. What else?
Promote collaboration,
Yes. So tell me more.
team building, ways for folks on the team to get together.
Yeah, offsites. You know, I've done more virtual offsites this year than I've ever imagined in my life doing. You could do a really good virtual offsite. Offsites, team collaboration. Yep. What else?
I would say a big one is to inventory required resources and then expend that in the right order. I think a lot of these initiatives, they start launching it and they don't really look at the expense, and then they start randomly spending money instead of strategically spending money. That makes sense.
Do great planning. You know, develop a plan, right? And then anticipate barriers and develop a plan to overcome them. There? Okay, good. 6, generate short-term wins. Okay, so this is now you're in the mode of you are doing the change, and now you're looking for short-term wins. Wins are the molecules of results. They must be collected, categorized, and communicated early and often to track progress and energize your volunteers to drive change. A win is anything, big or small, that helps you move forward towards your opportunity. They may take the shape of actions taken, a lesson learned, a process improved, a new behavior demonstrated, a new employee that joins our team, the successful merger of 2 departments, you name it. But the results, a body of data that tells the story of your transformation. It's validating the transformation story. It's both qualitative and quantitative. Qualitative meaning there's the stories, quantitative meaning there's the data. So what can you do to generate short-term wins in your sphere of influence? This is where we typically run dry because you guys are not engaged right now in, most likely, a change initiative. So you may not say, I don't know. What can I do to generate short-term wins? But maybe you have some ideas. What do you think?
Daniel, one of the recurring themes of this group is agile project management. And one of the principles of agile is called like eating your ice cream first, or eating your dessert first. So figuring out what's the most highly valuable thing you can do in the shortest period of time. So it's really like surveying, you know, your stakeholders or your project team or whoever it might be to saying, what's something we do immediately to get that momentum going?
Yes, and I want to talk to that. So one of my mentors, Sam Maraska, famous guy, was like ran a $19 billion P&L at Shell Oil back in the day. Anyway, he says, small, quick wins, small, quick steps, go, 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 little, tiny, quick wins. Don't look for that big one, small, quick steps. Good. What else?
If you can accomplish something visible first, that helps a lot. Like making a massive improvement that nobody can see doesn't get people excited about it.
Yeah, even if it's small. Good. What else? One more.
Daniel, time check. We're about 6 minutes.
Got it.
We can just, I'd prefer to maybe have you just keep going, just so we can get through the material.
Good. Yep. 7, sustain acceleration. So press harder after the first successes. You're increasing credibility, can improve systems, structures, policies, be relentless with initiating change after change until the vision is a reality. So you've had a few wins. It can be easy to lift your foot off the gas pedal after experiencing some success. Instead, this is the time to press harder and use those wins as momentum to further fuel change. Okay. So what are ways you can sustain acceleration in your circles of influence? Persevere. Okay. I don't know if I'm spelling that right. Probably not, but persevere. Do not give up. Okay. Just don't give up.
Regular checkpoints.
Give up. Yes. You guys are experts at project management. Come on. You know all this.
I think it's reminding of really prior successes, because it's one thing to get a project done and then just move on and forget about all the success you've had in the past.
Yes, absolutely. I'm going to put this all in caps. Celebrate your wins, right? Good. And then institute the change. Sure. Institutionalize it. To ensure new behaviors are repeated over the long term, it's important that you define and communicate the connections between those behaviors and the organization's success. Years of a different kind of experience are often needed to create lasting change. What does that mean? That means that, well, you have to institutionalize. It has to be done over and over. It takes time. That is why cultural changes come once you are deep into transformation, not at the beginning. True cultural change takes a lot of time. You first have to build the muscle and the track record to make the change happen. Cultural changes after you successfully altered people's actions and connect the dots between new behaviors and better performance. So how can you institute change in your circle of influence? I would say, I'm going to leave you one word: study it. If you really want to know how to be an effective change agent, you have to study this. You're just not going to get it from one deck and one hour meeting. But I would strongly encourage you to put organizational design and organizational development knowledge into your skill set. So what are the next steps you want to take after considering what we have discussed today? I'd like you to homework, review this deck, put together an action plan. Two things: review the deck and put together an action plan. The rest is just my bio, a little bit about the company, and I am done. Folks, thank you very much for allowing me to be here and to share a little bit of my experience, my strength, my hope in the area of organizational design and development and how to be an internal change agent. Thank you very much.
Nice job, Daniel. Thank you so much for being our speaker. I personally learned quite a bit from it, even after having read the book, the actual book itself. A lot of great context and to bring that back to my team here. So don't think we have any time for questions, but I will get this video out to Greg to publish on the Austin PMI website. We'll have it internally for people at the Dell Medical School. And again, Daniel, thank you so much for being our speaker.
Hey, it's my pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Great job.
Hi, everyone.